Yo, what's going on, guys? Today I'm going to be going over the MLB slate on DraftKings and Yahoo for Monday, July the 15th. We got a 10-game main slate for Monday today. Starting off, I'm going to go through pitching. We're going to work our way through the pitcher-player pool. I'll be sure to hit on all the pitchers that I like for today. Then we'll look at some hitters I really like. We'll talk about bats. We'll look at some stacks that I'll be going to. And then towards the end of the video, for those of you that are interested in a couple BVP plays, I will give out a couple BVP plays at the end of the video. But before we do get started, guys, I would appreciate it if you would drop a like on the video. And if you are new to the channel, make sure you click that subscribe button down below so that way you won't miss out on any of my new videos. So starting off at the top of the pitcher-player pool, we got 4 guys over 10K on DraftKings: Luis Castillo, Lucas Giolito, Clayton Kershaw, and Blake Snell. Just talking about these 4 stud guys, these 4 guys over 10K. By far, my favorite play here is Lucas Giolito at 11,200 against the Royals. If you just look at some of the other guys around him, Castillo is more expensive, and Luis Castillo is in a really tough spot, having to face the Cubs in Wrigley Field, where it is expected to be a Wrigley win game. Right now, Labs has it is 86 degrees with 53% humidity, so it's going to be very hot and very humid. Plus, the wind is going to be blowing out to center, 13 miles per hour. I expect we see some high totals in this game. I wouldn't be surprised at all if we see both teams with a 5 total or higher. So I don't think I'm going to be going to Castillo. Just too expensive, not a great matchup. Same could be said for Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw's in a really tough spot against the Phillies. Plus, he's 10,700, which just feels like a little bit too much to pay for Kershaw when you can get an elite strikeout pitcher in Giolito for only 500 more. I guess my next favorite guy to play would be Blake Snell if I had to choose someone else to go to besides Giolito. But still, this is a tough spot for Blake Snell as well, facing the Yankees in Yankee Stadium. Plus, Snell is 10K, which is really expensive. You can get James Paxton for 700 less, who I would rather play against the Rays. So I don't really see myself going to Snell, Kershaw, or Castillo. Giolito is the guy that I really like looking at the stud options. On Yahoo, I think Giolito is also a top play. He's at $52. Same price as Kershaw, I believe. Right now they have Walker Buehler starting, but it looks like it's going to be Kershaw. Kershaw's 51 on Yahoo, so 51 for Kershaw, 52 for Giolito as your 2 highest priced pitchers. I'll just play Giolito at $52. One thing I do want to say on Yahoo, Blake Snell's at $38. He's actually really cheap. He's at the same price as Adam Pluto. He's cheaper than Joe Musgrove, so I'll probably play some Blake Snell on Yahoo, but on DraftKings, I don't think I'm going to be considering him at 10K. Then for SP2, there's a clear value option that we'll talk about in a second, but some of the other guys you could consider maybe as potential SP1s or SP2s. James Paxton I mentioned at 9,300. I really like James Paxton here. Adam Pluto, not that great of a pitcher, but he's in a really favorable spot facing the Tigers at home. He's 7,800 on DraftKings, which I don't love, but still the matchup's really good, so you could definitely consider Adam Pluto. Same could be said for Jacob Junis. I don't think Junis is that good of a pitcher, but he's facing the White Sox at home, a White Sox team that we know strikes out a ton. So I do like Junis as an option at 7,500. And then lastly, I want to mention Rick Porcello. Rick Porcello facing the Blue Jays at home, 6,300. Another value pitcher you could consider. But my favorite guy for value is going to be Joe Musgrove at 5,800. I really like Joe Musgrove as a value pitcher on DraftKings. I imagine he's going to be very popular just because he's so cheap. Value at pitching today is kind of hard to come by. There's not a lot of great options that you feel very confident in. I expect a lot of people are going to go to Musgrove, but for good reason. Too cheap here at 5,800. There are some strikeouts in this Cardinals lineup versus righties. You do have some Ks here with like Tyler O'Neill will strike out. Matt Wieters isn't that great of a hitter. Dexter Fowler not that great of a hitter. Neither is Colton Wong. You got the pitcher in there. You can get some Ks from like Martinez and Goldschmidt as well versus righties. They strike out more versus righties than lefties. Cardinals usually do roll out a pretty right-handed heavy lineups, and Joe Musgrove much better versus righties than lefties. Pretty low total for the Cardinals as well, so I like going to Musgrove as a value pitcher. I think he's the clear value option on DraftKings. Then over on Yahoo, like I said earlier, Joe Musgrove is more expensive than Blake Snell, so I'm not going to be considering Joe Musgrove on Yahoo. He's just too expensive. I don't want to pay $40 for him. Looking for value pitchers, there's a couple guys you could consider. Porcello's 35, Junis is 33, even Mikolas at 30 you could go to. But I expect I'm going to be spending a lot at pitcher on Yahoo. For SP2, I like going to James Paxton at $44. If you play Paxton and Giolito together, that still leaves you $13 remaining per player, which you can definitely work around on today's slate. So I'm going to be spending a pitcher on Yahoo. I like pairing Giolito with Paxton. I mentioned I really like Paxton. I think he's a really good play on Yahoo. Even though he's more expensive than Blake Snell, still think he's a better projected play than Snell. But I will definitely have Blake Snell across my 10 Yahoo lineups. He'll probably be in at least 2 or 3 of them. Paxton and Giolito going to be my core pitchers. But now let's talk about some bats now. I do want to start off with this Coors Field game. Right now, there is a doubleheader for this Coors game between the Rockies and the Giants. It looks like in the early game, it's going to be Herman Marquez and Jeff Samardzija pitching. And then in the late night game, it's going to be Derek Rodriguez pitching for the Giants. And we're not sure yet who's going to be the pitcher for the Rockies. That's to be determined. I imagine it's going to be a righty. Right now, DraftKings has it as Chichi Gonzalez. And if that's the case, I do really like a lot of the righties from the Giants. Brandon Belt really stands out. Just $4,400 on DraftKings. Way too cheap to be in Coors Field. On Yahoo, he's also a great play at just $12. Way too cheap to be in Coors Field. So assuming it's a righty and Chichi Gonzalez, even if it's a lefty, I think Brandon Belt, you can still play him here versus a lefty in Coors. Belt's just a great hitter overall. On DraftKings, he really didn't even see a price increase. He was $4,100 on the last slate, and now he's $4,400, so they barely raised his price. On Yahoo, he was $12 on the last slate, so he's still the same price as he was on his last game. Now he's in Coors Field, the best hitter's park. I imagine we're going to have some high totals in this game. Brandon Belt, a great power hitter. I like hitters on both sides of this game, assuming it is Gonzalez pitching for the Rockies. I do love the Rockies stack, though. The Rockies are going to be one of my favorite stacks going up against Derek Rodriguez. But starting off with the Giants side, really like Brandon Belt as a somewhat value play. He's actually way too cheap. Could be considered as a value. But then on the Rockies side, Nolan Arenado at $5,200 on DraftKings, I really like. On Yahoo, he still remains way too cheap. He's $18. He's like the 8th most expensive third baseman. He's the same price as Jose Ramirez. Heimer Candelario is more expensive than Nolan Arenado. So that's just really bad pricing. Nolan Arenado going to be one of my top plays on Yahoo, given the fact that he's only $18. Just a great spot here for Arenado and for the Rockies facing Derek Rodriguez. Rodriguez was pretty terrible just throughout this year. When he was in the minors, he wasn't really that good either. Now he has to face the Rockies in Coors Field. I don't expect Derek Rodriguez is going to have much success here. He's probably going to struggle, going to give up some home runs. So I really like the Rockies bats. I really like the lefties. I really like the righties. Pretty much going to be playing as much Rockies as I can. Pretty much the whole lineup's in play for me. But obviously the guys you want to target are at the top of the order with Blackmon, Arenado, Dahl, Story, Murphy. Those are the guys you really want to look to. But now to finish off my 5 plays, I do want to talk about the Indians. I think the Indians are in a great spot today versus Daniel Norris. They do have a very high total. Right now they have a 6 implied run total, and they actually have a lot of value in their lineup. Just looking at the top 4 or 5 projected hitters, you got Mercado batting second for $4K. You got Jordan Luplow, who has a lot of power, batting cleanup for $3,900. Even Jose Ramirez is only $4,100. Daniel Norris is not a pitcher I'm afraid to stack against. I do like to stack against Norris when I can, especially with a lineup like the Indians, a lineup that does have some power. Mercado, I mentioned, batting second. Really like him here at $4K. On Yahoo, he's also really cheap. I think he's like $13, $14. We'll find him real quick. Mercado's at $13. Luplow's at $14, so that's another guy you can consider. Just really like the Indians here. They provide you a lot of value. You can still pay up for Giolito at pitching and stack the Indians. The Indians are one of the highest upside teams today, in my opinion, going up against Norris. Norris just really struggles to righties. You can definitely play lefties against them, though. I wouldn't mind playing Jason Kipnis, especially because he's so cheap at $3,500. But the top 5 guys are where you really want to target from the Indians. Lindor, Mercado, Santana, Luplow, and Ramirez. Some of the best plays on the slate, and they're all relatively cheap. So I do love the Indians here versus Daniel Norris. But these are my 5 plays for today, guys. My 5 plays for DraftKings and for Yahoo. So let's go ahead and talk about some stacks real quick, then we'll look at some BVP before we end the video. So my favorite stack today is definitely going to be the Rockies versus Derek Rodriguez. I think the Rockies just give you so much upside here versus a really bad pitcher in Coors Field. If the Giants or if the Rockies decide to pitch Chichi Gonzalez, which is possible because DraftKings is usually pretty sharp when it comes to having the right pitcher in there. I looked on MLB.com, and right now it's to be determined who's going to pitch for the Rockies. If it's Gonzalez, then I think some of these Giants bats are in play because they are pretty cheap. Brandon Belt at 4,400 really stands out, though. Love him today from the Giants side. And then the Indians, obviously, versus Daniel Norris. 6 implied run total. A lot of value in this Indians lineup. They make for a great stack today. And then don't want to overlook this Wrigley game, this Cubs-Reds game. Wind blowing out 13 miles per hour to center. We know how much wind has an effect on that stadium. If you just look at some of the pricing in this game, there is so much value. I know Castillo's a good pitcher, but Kyle Schwarber is only 3,600 today. Baez is only 41, Bryant 42, Rizzo 4K, Contreras is under 4K. And then on the Reds side, there's so much value on the Reds lineup. Scooter batting cleanup for 3,100, Winker leading off only 3,300, Joey Votto 3,400. Kyle Hendricks is a pretty decent pitcher, but still a guy that can get blown up at times. He doesn't really have strikeout stuff. He pitches to contact. And with the wind blowing out in Wrigley, if you're going to be pitching to contact, that could definitely lead to some trouble. So I think the Reds actually give you a ton of upside with how cheap they are. I do like a Red stack today. It will be very interesting to see what the totals look like in this game once we get them. But that's probably it for me for stacks. Don't want to forget the Red Sox either. Red Sox versus Trent Thornton, 6.2 implied run total. You can definitely consider them, but if I'm paying up for expensive bats and if I'm paying up for an expensive stack today, I think it's definitely going to be the Rockies over the Red Sox. But now let's talk about some BVP real quick before we end the video. So just some of the BVP plays that really stand out. Gary Sanchez gone 5 for 17 with 4 home runs off of Blake Snell. Jay Bruce 6 for 23, 3 home runs off Clayton Kershaw. Justin Smoke 12 for 43, 5 home runs off Rick Porcello. Daniel Descalso 4 for 12, 2 home runs off Castillo. Kyle Schwarber 3 for 11 with 2 home runs off Castillo. Joey Votto, really good BVP off of Hendricks, 10 for 24 with 3 home runs. And then lastly, Yohan Moncada gone 7 for 14 with 2 home runs off Jake Junis. So those are just some BVP plays for today, guys. I think that is it for this video. Hopefully you did enjoy the video. Hopefully it did help you. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you click that like button down below and make sure you subscribe if you have not already. And if you do have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. Or like always, you can hit me up on Twitter at the DFS_GOAT. If you do have any questions, feel free to message me on Twitter. But yeah, guys, that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed the video, and we will see you in the next one. Good luck tonight. Peace.